Okay, all my thread tails are back here. This is my scrap fabric that I'm gonna put under here because I just oiled my machine. Okay, and now we are good to go.
Hello and welcome to my sewing channel. Today I'm going to share with you some of my serger tips and tricks on my Brother 1034D. Now these are just going to be non-technical. We don't even have to change the feet. We're not going to mess with the setting. We're not going to mess with the tension. Just some basic how to sew with knit fabric. And I'm going to just demonstrate how I sew on a curve, how I serge on within a corner, how I hide my thread tails, and also how I finish a hem. Oh, and I'm also going to show you how to use your security guard. So let's go ahead and meet over here at my machine.
I always just line it up to the edge, which equals a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I don't let my knits like fall and stretch down. I'm always holding onto them right here so that they're not stretching. And then here's my slight curve. I want to make sure my fabric is always right here along this edge. See, with the curve, it's going to want to go away. Keep it right up here and then just do this. And then there is your curve.
Okay, in the video, I'm also going to show you how to do the crotch area right here. Next up though, I want to show you how I keep all the fabrics out from underneath the blade. I'm going to show you that first, and then we'll move on to showing you how to do a shoulder curve. So let me show you that.
Now, I also want to explain your security guard, which is this finger right here. You're going to place it under here, and it's always going to be on the lookout for any excess fabric. Its sole job is to make sure no excess fabric goes under there. It wants to clear any fabric out of the way. So basically, you're feeling that it's flat right here with these hands, and also with this finger constantly being underneath it.
So who would have thought that your finger would be so important with your serger? But how many times have you ever clipped an area of your fabric, got the knife underneath it, and it just does not end well? It will ruin your whole entire project. So that is the importance of your security guard. Okay, oh, also I do want to say, if you are looking for ways to ruffle your fabric, you can do that with your serger too. And so I will put a link up there. I'll also put the link in the descriptions tab below so you can watch this video all the way through. And so now I'm going to show you a close-up of how I did this crotch line, because you know how like on a sewing machine you would actually like pivot your fabrics. You're not going to do that on your serger. So let's take a look.
So here is the crotch area, and we are going to put that through the machine, and I'll just show you how easy it is. Okay, so I'm starting on the leg, and if I want to hide that thread tail, I can. I just do a couple of stitches in and pull this and just sew right over it. I don't ever use pins on my serger because I've chopped too many of them up. So we're coming up on this crotch line. There will be no pivoting. And look, even though a crotch would curve, we are not going to curve. We're just feeding the fabric through it straight. Make sure you have your guard down here where it needs to be. Okay, and then here is your crotch line. See, it looks just fine. You want to make sure that you go through and that you did not miss any pieces of fabric. You know what I mean? That everything got stitched in how it's supposed to be.
Okay, so what do you think? Like, how easy is that? So it does look like it's straight, but it actually is your, like you could say it's your corner, it's your curve, and then you can make sure that you go through and you iron your seams. Okay, now I'm going to show you in detail how to add a cuff. And the part that I'm going to show you is I'm going to talk later on in the video on how to hide your thread tails, but for right now I like to keep my thread tails long so that I have something to grab onto when it's lined up against my sleeve. So here is my long thread tail, and then I've just clipped 4 clips on it. And so now let's go over to the serger and go ahead and sew in this tiny cuff. So it's kind of tiny to get in here, but you will eventually, just get it under the sewing foot, and then immediately you can do like 1 to 2 stitches to secure that in place, and then kind of, mess around with the rest of the fabric once you get that underneath there. And then just, you can kind of go really slow, and it's, not that difficult, although I have been practicing for a while, but you will get better as you go. And so you can just sew around it like this. And there we go, just like that. So let me show you a little bit closer up right here. So I start it right there at that middle seam and go all the way around, and then I overlap it about 1 inch to make sure that all the fabric got caught under the seam. So I'm going to show you just a tiny bit what I'm talking about on the neckband, how I overlap it.
So here's the starting point, and I'm going to serge and clear to like right here, just to make sure that all of this is included under the seam. Okay, and then you want to make sure that you didn't miss any fabric. And everything looks good. Now we can flip over the collar.
So yeah, this is the collar I just did, and coming up in the video, I'm going to show you how to take care of this thread tail. But right now, I'm going to show you, we're going to sew the curve on the shoulder. So I'll go into detail about that, and I'm going to show you how we did this on the serger using our security guard. Okay, so I've got, my clips in place and everything. This is my shoulder seam that I'm doing. You can see at the bottom, there's quite a bit of a curve right there. And I'm just gonna go slow, but see how my finger is underneath there. Let's see, I'll show you again. And I'm constantly feeling for the flat edge and just kind of turning it and making sure that that's on the edge, always putting my finger underneath like that to make sure that there is no fabric caught underneath the edge of it. And again, this is just something that the more you do, the better you will get. And then of course, make sure that all the fabric got put into the seam.
So it's nice to keep a long thread tail like that, so that when you sew your next one, you have this that you're gonna hide. I'll show you. Okay, so now that's in there. I'm gonna cut this and I'm gonna fold it over here, and I'm gonna sew right over that.
Okay, so that technique that I just showed you, this is what it ends up looking like. And so then you can kind of pull if you don't want that to curl, although I like the fabric to curl a little bit, because let me show you when I turn it inside out, it looks like this. See, and then it curls in just a tiny bit right there. But doesn't that look really nice? On this piece right here, it's irrelevant because I'm gonna be serging it across. But if you ever need to hide that thread tail, that's just a really nice way to do it. Okay, and then let's move on to the next one.
One thing you can do is just take like two of the strings like this and just tie it in a knot.
So yeah, you can tie it in a knot if you don't, because sometimes this is not feasible to serge over it again. So you can tie it in a knot like I just showed you, or you can even take them like this, and I'll show you right here. Just kind of scooch it all the way down like that. And even instead of tying it in a knot, I also have this fray check, and it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Sometimes I don't want to tie it in a knot, because even that can be kind of time consuming. And then you can just put your fray check right there, and it won't unravel that way either. And then just cut off the excess. And so then that's what it looks like in your neckband. It's just a tiny little knot that you can't really see. I also have a link in the descriptions tab below if you want to purchase your own Brother 1034D serger. It is an affiliate link, so just giving you a heads up on that. So the next technique I want to show you is I'm going to do like a fake hemband at the bottom of this shirt. I've also done it on sleeves. It's more of a casual leisure look that I've done on like raglan sleeves. So if you don't want to do an actual cuff, it looks like a cuff, but it's not. So I'm going to show you, and that's how you can finish it on your serger. So I'm just going to turn this inside out like this. And then let me bring the camera over here.
So I found it easier to just fold it in, the right sides, and then fold it in like this. And you fold in about like 1 inch and just carefully iron it. Make sure you don't burn your iron. I'm folding it in about 1 inch all the way around. And you can even do a thicker hem if you'd like, just whatever you want. Okay, so now you're just going to flip it like this, and then you're just going to run it through your serger. That way it's going to serge right here, and then when you fold it over, it's going to look like this. Now you can clip these on this side if you want to. I'll put a couple of those in right now. I don't find it necessary to clip both sides, but if you're just learning this technique, then yeah, that's definitely a good idea to keep your fabric folded. It's like you're folding it like an accordion. So let's go over to the serger. And it's not at all necessary to disengage the knife. I'm going to bring this down here so you can see what I'm doing. I've got it just not even hitting here because I just barely want it to nip this. Okay, so now this is what the bottom looks like, and now I'm just going to put it through my sewing machine to sew down this serged edge right here. So I'll just do that really quickly and then... Okay, so I went ahead and sewed it so you can see there is a tiny little sew line right there, but it still looks really nice because see how the inside has that serge. And then this right here is the thread tail. And so I'm just going to take my fray check and finish it off. There we go. And so that is the bottom of the shirt. Those are all the tips that I have for you today. I hope that you found them helpful, or if you learned something new about those tips, leave me a comment in the descriptions tab below, or if you have a tip for me.
So thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you click on that one so that you know how to serge ruffles, or you can click on the other one on how to attach an elastic casing using your serger. But I do hope that you found this tutorial helpful and that you love your brother as much as I love mine. So until next time, happy sewing. Bye guys.